heard you crack open the blue light.
Yo, come on in. You guys are here too?
Goodbye, empty couch. Hello, standing room only. Labatt takes everything to the power of we.
2025 is here. Happy New Year to everybody out there, and welcome to another edition, the January edition of Bobcat Tracks, presented by Labatt Blue. We do these monthly. If you're new to the show, we're on Spotify, Apple, and a video element as well on Ohio Bobcat Studio. So go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up for this episode here today. Drop a comment as well if you have any questions. So again, this is a podcast where we talk about student athletes, both on and off the field, on and off the court. And we are pumped to bring you two here today. Beginning on the track, we'll get a little speedy here with our first guest. It is Taja Booker from the track and field team. Let's give it up for Taja. Where is it? All right, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Crazy. 2025 is here.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. We were just chatting. This is your first ever podcast.
Yes, my first ever one. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's crazy. So we're going to start at the very beginning. You're from Simpsonville, South Carolina. Tell everybody out there what it was like growing up in Simpsonville, South Carolina, and how you got into the sport of track and field.
So Simpsonville, South Carolina, it is a small town in the South. And just being in the South is a different type of feel. I love it so much. I love the weather. So, coming to Ohio was a big change for me. But growing up in the South, it was just it was a different feel. It was a different vibe. It was amazing. I started off not in track. I started off doing everything, honestly. I did karate a little bit. I did cheerleading, gymnastics. I did a little t-ball.
Nice.
And then I was in gym class one day in middle school, and we all had the god-awful pacer test. And one of my gym teachers, she was actually one of the coaches at the high school that I was going to. She's one of the track coaches. And she saw me running, and she was like, yeah, you have to try out for the track team. And I was like, okay. And
wow.
I literally didn't know anything about track at all before that point. And that was 7th grade. And then from there, it was history.
Man. So that 7th grade is your earliest track moment, memory.
Yes.
What do you remember about that more? Tell us more about that 7th grade moment when you mentioned, getting involved with the sport. Mm-hmm. What was it like?
So in 7th grade, at the high school, we had a number of amazing athletes at Hillcrest High School, and they just set a culture of success and winning and just hard work and dedication. And so just being under their wing was absolutely amazing. I did not compete at state that year. I was an alternate, but they won state in multiple events, and I was able to, get a ring there. And then from the next year on, I was able to compete at state, and just following their footsteps, it always, kept me motivated and helped me. And I ended with 7 state championship titles.
Wow.
And yeah.
What high school?
Hillcrest High School.
Hillcrest High School. So, when you have any track and field history in your family at all, or are you like the first person that found track and field in your family?
So actually, my dad, he is from Chicago, Illinois, and he was kind of a stud.
Really?
Yeah, he did hurdles. Hurdles are not my thing. Yeah, he was great. He has multiple records at his high school in Illinois, so he was really the main person. My mom and some of my aunts, they ran for a little bit, but nothing ever serious as like me and my dad.
Gotcha. So when you first got involved with the sport in 7th grade, did you love it immediately?
Honestly, yes. It was such a different feel. track is just a very interesting sport, and you either love it or you hate it. There's no in between.
Yeah.
It's really different from any other sport, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things where when you know, and if you don't know, then it's not for you.
What type of kid were you growing up? Were you shy? Were you outgoing? And how did that incorporate with how you handled the track and field situation?
I was somewhere in the middle. I've always been very confident, pretty bold, but I did have a lot of shy tendencies at first. But track, it definitely helped me come out of my shell in more ways than one. It helped me, meet so many people, build connections and relationships with so many people, and also competing at, a high level in front of lots of people all the time that, has its way of bringing you out of your shell.
Do you have an example of that where you were competing in front of an audience or a stage where you were like, I mean, you mentioned the state championships. Take us into one of those moments where you're like, wow, like this is a situation where I have to perform.
Mm-hmm. So we go regionals, then we go to state qualifier, then state. And so it's like state qualifier is almost more important than state, because it's like you have to get out of that, that meet, that round to be able to even go to state.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember my junior year of high school, at state, we won the 4x1, the 4x4, and the 4x8. I was on the 4x1 and the 4x4, and we set state records in all of those events on the same day, the same meet. But the state qualifier meet, it was so nerve-wracking. Everyone was watching, and there was this one team that we had to beat, but they wouldn't put us in the same heat for state qualifier. They only put us in the same heat for state. So we were just running against the clock, and we knew that we had to perform, we had to put on, because, we weren't actually running with them beside us. We just had to go.
Mm.
Yeah, so.
Wow. You've always been a sprinter, right?
Yes.
No long distance.
Absolutely not.
What distance or what sprint lengths, like people talk all the time about, all right, I'm a 200 runner, 100. I love the 100, the 60, indoors, outdoors. What was your sweet spot early on in high school?
I would say that my sweet spot was probably the 200.
Okay.
It went kind of back and forth early on between the 100 and the 200, and I was always on the 4x4, and that really was my sweet spot.
Yeah.
But
You were the anchor in the 4x4?
So I would go from I would run all of the legs, honestly.
Wow.
I would
You
go
could do
from
it all.
2 to 4. Yeah.
That's crazy. So when did you realize, all right, being a student athlete at a university is a possibility? When did you know that was possible?
So that would have been my junior year as well. My coach, we were so close. We still are. He would always tell me, like, Todd, there's somewhere for everyone. Don't think just because you're not running Sydney McLaughlin times or anything like that you can't compete at a high level, a D1 level in college, because it is possible. And then I started to think about it, and I'm like, well, maybe this is a possibility for me. And academics have always been at the forefront of my mind, so getting that paid for is a dream come true.
Yeah. Wow. So tell us about where your mind was towards the end of your high school journey. You ultimately decided first to go to Memphis, then went to Western Carolina. So walk us through that journey from end of your high school to Memphis and then to Western Carolina. That's a lot.
It is. So unfortunately, my senior year of high school was COVID. So we started off the year. I literally only ran I think, maybe 2 or 3 meets, and then everything was shut down. And at that point, I had only gone on like 2 visits. And again, it was new. It was, a groundbreaking, world-changing, phenomenon. So a lot of programs were, pulling their scholarship money, and they were making changes and rosters and things like that. So at that point, Memphis was the biggest and the best school that I felt like I had went on a visit to. And when I went there, I really loved the feel. I was looking for, a family-oriented type of team, because that's what I came from. And so that was the choice that I ultimately made. Mm-hmm. And so I went there for my first 2 years. I blossomed on the track. I excelled so well to heights that I, didn't think that was possible at the time, because, before then I hadn't, my senior season was cut short, so I didn't really run at all for like almost over a year.
Wow.
And when we got on campus in 2020, there was so many stipulations, contact tracing with COVID and everything. I had to miss multiple meets because, not because I had COVID, but because they contact traced me for being around someone with COVID. So there was a lot of obstacles that I had to go through, but the track part and the academics, they absolutely, excelled. But overall, it just wasn't a, great fit for me as a whole person. And so, and I always, even in high school, wanted to graduate early from college. I wanted to graduate in 3 years and go on to get my master's. So going to Western Carolina provided me with that opportunity. So after my 2 years at Memphis, I transferred to Western Carolina University, and that's in North Carolina, Cullowhee, North Carolina.
Yeah. It's hard to pronounce.
Yeah, it's a name that you have never heard of,
Yeah.
probably won't ever hear.
Wow. So you mentioned like that one part where you said like you're trying to find your full self. Mm-hmm. I think like when you're at Memphis, like you had some of it, you didn't have all of it. Was it kind of the same thing at Western Carolina as well?
Yeah, so it was significantly better. I felt like I was finding my, self and finding things within the university and the people that I was around that, fed my entire being, but it just wasn't there. It wasn't quite there. And so I graduated with my undergraduate degree from Western, and knowing that I had more eligibility, actually, I broke my toe there, so I redshirted, and so that gave me another year of eligibility, and on top of my COVID year. So knowing that, and knowing that my master's program would take 2 years, I was like, I can do this. Yeah. I can keep running, and I can get my master's degree. And so that is when I entered the transfer portal again and started talking to schools, and I came on a visit here. And I fell in love with the team. I fell in love with the atmosphere. I don't like the cold, but you have to make concessions here and there.
Wow. Well, that leads me into my next question, which is from our co-host who's not able to be here today, Taja Stevens. Shout out to T, who obviously ran with you for a little bit here at Ohio University. She's now a GA for us here in the athletic department. So her question, she's got one question for you, and it's what is it about Ohio that you like the most compared to the other schools?
Okay, first of all, shout out to Taja. She's one of my best friends. I love you, Taja. But one of the things that is the best.
Yeah, that separates it from other places.
There are so many things I could say, truly.
Wow.
But I think that the most important thing, or I'm going to say the most important things, I'm going to mash them into one, is my team. I absolutely love all of my teammates. We are literally like a family, and they keep me going. They keep me motivated. I know I can always turn to them and they can always turn to me. And so that's always, a good thing when you have people surrounding you that, build you up and they uplift you, and you can do the same. And then, again, as I said, academics have always been at the forefront for me. So just being able to be a part of a top program for psychology, which is, my concentration, my major, that is absolutely a blessing. So I think that the culmination of, the academics with the athletics is just, amazing.
Yeah. Amazing to hear that. And psychology, that's a lot of mind games.
Yes.
Tell us about what you've learned the most about your mind and the psychology element of what it takes to be a student athlete.
Right. So in psychology, there are so many studies and research that has been done that shows you the power of the mind, that shows you, even the weaknesses, the strengths of the mind. The mind is a very complex, thing. And track is a very, very mental sport. You can have every single physical thing that you need, but if your mind isn't there, then you'll never be able to perform to the best of your abilities. And so just learning how the mind can be almost tricked into doing things.
Yeah. Have that inner dialogue where
Right.
you're telling yourself something and it's like, it's not real. You got to push through.
Exactly. So knowing the psychology of the mind and just implementing that every day, it's helped me so much because, again, like I said, track is such a mental sport. You have to find ways to train your mind to think positively and to think progressively to get through, our workouts and our competitions and everything like that, because it's really hard. It's really grueling on the mind.
What have you done to help train your mind since you've been here at Ohio to deal with the ups and the downs of life, student athlete life, so on and so forth?
So one of the things, again, I told you that I broke my toe. I've had multiple injuries. I've torn my meniscus, torn my patellar tendon. I've had multiple injuries, and during those times, I haven't been able to run, and it killed me. And so just always thinking about how there was so many times that I wasn't able to run, that pushes me, because it's like I have this opportunity now where I'm able to run, and there were so many opportunities where I couldn't. So why would I waste that opportunity? And there are so many people that would love to be in student athlete shoes like mine, and they don't have the opportunity. So I want to be grateful for everything that I have and just keep pushing, because I know that anything that I'm being asked to do, I can do it. I've done it before, or, I haven't done it before, but that doesn't mean that I can't do it. So that's one thing that helps me. And also journaling helps me, like writing things down, taking the time to write things out, get all of my emotions out. Also think about the future, think about the past, but not dwell on anything. Give myself, a set time period to kind of go through, every emotion or everything that I'm feeling,
Wow.
but not dwelling on things so that they become bigger than they are.
I love that part about journaling. I journal as well every single day. I've actually journaled every single day since COVID. So it's a combination of writing out what I did that day, but also it's important to add how I was feeling that day.
Yes.
Because sometimes I'll get behind with the journaling and I forget how I felt on a certain day. So do you remember something that you wrote in your journal on a specific day that resonates with you the most, something that you've learned from?
Excuse me.
It could be as simple as I can do this, or just something that you wrote that, is memorable.
I remember a day where I had a super hard workout, but I did amazing in it, but I wrote that I did not feel the best. And so that always resonates with me, because it's even though my body doesn't feel the best, that doesn't mean that I can't do it. It's you can do anything that you put your mind to if you just, push and be dedicated and, just be competitive and competent. You feel competent within yourself, and you just trust yourself and your training and your coaches. And, I serve the Lord, so I trust him as well. And I know that, again, I can do anything that I set my mind to, even if I don't feel up to it.
Powerful stuff. So student athlete, one thing that I really admire about what you've done here so far at Ohio University, not just on the track, but off the track as well. Your involvement in the SAC, you put together that toy drive that was super cool at Morrison Gordon Elementary. I'm curious, when did you realize that you had the ability to make an impact as a student athlete away from your sport?
That started in high school, really. I have always had my hand in the community, whether that's helping children or, doing things for animals or Habitat for Humanity, just things like that. I've always had a knack for community service and uplifting my community. So I've tried to carry that with me throughout college. And sometimes I haven't had the opportunities, with COVID and things like that. Some things weren't possible, but getting here and seeing the support from the community and just seeing the student athletes and noticing that they're a little too wrapped up in just being an athlete. There's the student part too, and then there's also the whole person part. And it's like you need multiple things to make you your whole person. You're not just an athlete. You're not just a student. You're a whole person. So I feel that uplifting a community that uplifts you, that gives you the opportunity to compete in your sport and, go to your classes in your nice new buildings and things like that. And just also being grateful for what you have and knowing that, other people might not have that. I think that is so important to, show, and so important to just build the community around you.
And you've always had that mindset since high school.
Yeah, pretty much.
Why? Why do you think you've had that mindset?
I don't know. I've always been around people that have had that same, drive to be active in their community. And, even when you watch some things, it's like, okay, I don't want to do that, or I do want to do that. But I saw those things and I was like, it's making it a great impact. The smiles on people's faces, the happy tears, and just the gratification that you get when, you help someone. Like, that is just unmatched to me. And I love having that feeling. I love seeing people smile, and, I'm the reason that they smiled. And I brought other people into the fold to help, so many other people smile as well.
I love that. That is a great answer. Hard to really, move on to the next subject here. That's powerful stuff. On the track, I do want to read some of your times for the folks out there that need to know how fast you are. 60, which is indoors, right? 60 meter dash indoors, 7:79 PR. 100 is 11:91. That's 11 seconds, 11.91 seconds. 200, 24:40. 400, 58:32. And but Coach Peace told me you split 55 something on the 4x4 leg of Outdoor Max last year, right? Right?
Yeah.
So what are you focused on this season coming up, indoor and outdoor season? What are you focused on to ultimately achieve what you want to achieve in your final year?
So for the 100, actually, I ran a windy 11:79. So I'm trying to run a legal 11:5 to 11:6. And then my all-time best for the 200 is 24:1. And the 200 is like my bread and butter. So I just want to finally break 24 because it's been a long time coming. There's just been so many, obstacles and injuries that I've had to endure that have gotten in the way of that. But we have a new coach this year and a new team, and I just feel so confident that I'm going to exceed my expectations. So I'm really, really excited to just go out and, run to the best of my abilities and, PR.
Yeah. What is the biggest thing when you run a 200, when you run a 100, even a 60? Like, what is the most important thing that you need to do to have a successful race?
So for me, I need to trust my start. That is one of my, problem areas.
Got to get that Christian Coleman start.
Yes.
Crazy Christian Coleman start.
That's probably my biggest problem area. So just trusting that I can keep my feet, punching down to the ground and moving, keep my heel recovery low, and just keep my knees going up and down. Just trusting that start, and then honestly, just keeping my arms moving and my knees up, because the latter part of the race, I'm a dog, so I kind of have that in the bag. But it's the start that's like, okay, I really have to focus on, making sure my angles, making sure, I'm good getting out the blocks.
Wow. So it's been quite the journey for you as you've documented both on and off the track. And this is your final year, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So when you look back at your journey, like, what would you tell your younger self about your journey, whether it's advice, feedback? What would you tell your younger self?
What would I tell my younger self? Oh, goodness. I would probably tell my younger self that no matter how dark and dreary it might look, that it's going to be okay, and that, you're going to get through it. And you're going to have and find people that are going to help you, through those times, that are going to help uplift you. And even through the dark times, there will still be, beacons of light that you can hang on to, that you should hang on to. And to not dwell so much on the bad times, because, you can go down a rabbit hole when you think of all the, the bad or misfortunate things that have happened to you. But just always looking at, the silver lining, and just looking at the light in situations, you really start to be so immensely grateful that it's like, wow, even though this horrible thing happened, like, I still was able to get through it, and, this amazing thing came from it that is, 10 times better than, how much worse that bad thing was. Yeah.
Well, before we let you go here, we got some like off the tracks rapid fire quick questions. Oh. Okay, you ready for that?
Let's see.
Yeah. All right. The first one is, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I see myself in working in a large corporation, dealing with employee relations, and also having some type of nonprofit organization to help children.
Awesome. All right. Different subject here with these rapid fire questions. How many unread text messages do you have on your phone?
Do you want me to pull my phone out?
Yeah, I do.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Do you know off the top of your head?
I think around 600.
Wow.
Oh, I was totally wrong. I have 1,655.
Oh my goodness. I've got 22. Taja, let me see. I don't believe you. That's wild. That is wild. Do you have an explanation behind that, or is it just, it's a lot of like, I don't know. Sometimes you you just get random messages from like CVS.
Yeah. It says, yeah. I would
That's
say
it.
it's probably unread messages from like, random things I subscribe to or didn't know I subscribed to. And some are actual people that I need to text back.
All right. Taja's going to text back. She's
am.
going to text back. All right. What is your favorite meal?
Ooh, anything with seafood.
Ooh, okay. Nice. What song is on repeat right now?
Ooh. Heart of a Woman by Summer Walker.
Okay. What song do you listen to? What's like the last song you listen to before you get ready to race?
Ooh, let's see.
She's pulling the phone out to text someone back. No, I'm kidding. It could vary, or
Yeah, it's between Better Days by Leandria Johnson and Make Me Better by Kiera Sheard.
okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
between those two.
What is the first thing that you do if you won the lottery?
Oh gosh, the first thing I would do. I would make a plan on, how my funds would be allocated, and I would not tell anyone. I wouldn't tell anyone that I even won the lottery.
That's smart. Lastly, favorite spot on campus?
Oh, there's this little gazebo with like a pond. It's kind of in front of Ping and Walter, and like in between the aquatic center.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that
Great spot.
Yes. When it gets hot, I always go there, bring my little chair, and I just sit there. Might do some work or something.
Yeah.
Or just sit there and eat.
All right. Yeah, I gotta check that out now. Well, not right now because there's like 9 inches of snow out there, but I gotta pay a visit at some point back there. But Taja, really appreciate your time. Any final words you want to say to the people out there before we let you go?
Stay tuned for this season because I have a lot of things cooking up.
Okay. Yeah, love to hear that. Thanks, Taja.
Thank you for having me.
All right, our next guest on Bobcat Tracks presented by Labatt Blue. We're headed to the wrestling mat. Not literally, but figuratively speaking. Derek Raike, welcome to the show. What's up?
Oh, I mean, not a whole lot. Just in the heart of the season.
Yeah.
Just grinding away.
Yeah. So thanks for coming on. You told me before we started recording this that this is your first ever podcast.
Yep, never been on one before. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. Taja, who was our first guest from the women's track and field team, it was her first time on the pod. So first ever time, no nerves, right? Are you?
Nah.
You're good.
I'm all right.
You're chilling.
Yeah.
All right. So 149 pound weight class.
Yep.
From Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Yep. Point Pleasant.
All right. Let's go back to the beginning where you grew up in West Virginia. What was life like for you, and how did you ultimately find the sport of wrestling?
Well, I mean, I started when I was really, really young. My brother, he's 7 years older than me, and he started probably right around when I was 1. Started wrestling, and you know how it is. You see your brother doing it, and you want to just go out there and roll around. And I was really young, but I started like practicing and going to like open tournaments when I was probably 2 years old, 2.5 years old, and started that young, and I just never stopped. He was always in it. He wrestled all the way through high school, and I was just right there with him, and he always helped me out, and been doing it ever since.
What did he help you with the most in terms of wrestling?
Honestly, I mean, just being consistent with it. It's hard when you're young. You can't make a young kid. You can't be strict with them or anything because their attention span just isn't there.
Yeah.
But with him doing it, it kind of made me want to do it more. And if you can get him to want to do it, then it's pretty easy to keep him into it and actually get him to learn it. So he helped me just stay into it and actually care about it more.
Nice. Who's the better wrestler?
I'm gonna have to take that one. Yeah, that's I started a lot younger and I've been doing it for a lot longer. So
Yeah, but it's still older brother. like you said,
Yeah.
has given you advice with the sport.
Yeah.
And you probably wouldn't be where you are today if it weren't for your brother, right?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We spent a lot of hours just in our basement in our house, just practicing. We had a little mat down there, so he definitely helped me more than anybody else, I'd imagine.
It was a legit wrestling mat.
Yeah, we bought one, had it in the basement. I practiced a lot down there. That's where I honestly got most of it. Was growing up in the house.
Do you feel like, have you talked to other wrestlers about like how they got started? Is that like get your own mat and put it in your basement?
A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen it a lot. I mean, growing up, I always went to people. I've done a lot of practices just at people's houses, like in their basement. So, especially when I was younger, that was a pretty big thing. It's pretty common.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sleepover plus let's wrestle.
Yeah, yeah. That happened from time to time, but it's a lot more common than you think. A lot of people do it.
Yeah. So you were brought into the sport pretty easily. There was no like other sport that you did growing up, or what?
You know, kids will do other sports, but it was getting to the point where I was starting to do really well in wrestling. And I started. My stepdad, he's a very competitive guy, and we traveled a lot, and he took me to tournaments every chance he could, and it was the point where, I was going. In one summer, I remember I went to a tournament almost every weekend, like going and competing, and his motto was like, if you're gonna do it, you might as well be good. So we're gonna try our best and do everything we can to make you good.
Yeah, love that. So, early on, what type of kid were you? Wrestler? Were you confident? Were you confused, uncertain? Like where?
I would say I was pretty confident because I put the time in. I started when I was really young, and it definitely helped me at that early stage because most people don't start wrestling until they're 5, 6, 7 years old, and I started when I was not even 3, so I already had 2, 3 years under my belt when people were just starting. So that kind of definitely made me excel. Made it a lot easier for me at the beginning. I just was already ahead of other people.
So, Point Pleasant High School, from Point Pleasant, West Virginia, Point Pleasant High School. Is that the only high school how big is this hometown?
It's not very big. It's growing now. We got stuff coming in, but when I was there, it was not very big.
Okay.
I think I graduated with right around 100 people.
Wow.
At the time, and we're definitely a wrestling town.
Okay.
Like we when I was there, we won 4 team state titles every year I was in high school.
Wow.
And at one time we were ranked top 50 in the nation, like as a team, and we're a small public school in West Virginia. Like we have always been a wrestling town.
So when people think of Point Pleasant High School, wrestling is the sport?
Yeah. Obviously not everybody knows wrestling and been around it, but like if you're from Point Pleasant, you know that it's a wrestling school. Like,
nice.
Our wrestling team is usually pretty good.
Well, you had an epic high school career.
Yeah, I had a pretty good career in high school.
Insane. I think the numbers speak for itself. You individually were 175.
Yeah.
Were all 170 wins easy, or was there like this is the hardest one?
It just depends, because like I said, I traveled a lot. I wrestled in a lot of national tournaments growing up, so I got to go travel around the country and wrestle the top kids all growing up. So like when I got into high school and was like staying in West Virginia, I was already ahead of those guys just because I'd been doing it for so long and traveled, and it definitely made it a lot easier. Like I only lost twice in West Virginia, and the kid I lost to, which he's actually a good buddy of mine, he was ranked number 1 in the country his senior year of high school. So like it definitely I wouldn't say it was easy because it's never easy, but it definitely made it a lot easier for me when it came to just wrestling in state.
Wow. And you're a 4-time West Virginia state champion. Like, do you have a favorite moment from your wrestling career in high school?
I don't know. I'd say just my favorite moment was probably just winning it every year, because like we would win it and then we would come back through town and we would all meet up. Like we'd all like we would have escort through town, and everybody in town would like line the streets, and it was like all 4 years it was that every time, and that's probably the best moments. Like everybody in town came out and supported us and like recognized it.
That's crazy.
So that was pretty cool.
Man, so when you were getting to the end of your high school wrestling experience, was the phone ringing? Like, were you getting calls from colleges, or was it like
I was getting a good bit of calls. Yeah, well, with me, it's like I'd been doing it for so long. It's like, I mean, obviously you're gonna get burned out a little bit. You've just been doing it for so long, and wrestling's not like any other sport. Like it's very, very physically demanding, as in just you've always got to be in the best shape. You've always got to be eating the right things because, I mean, we cut weight. We have to make weight. And especially when you get to that higher level, like national traveling and stuff, it's like if you don't cut weight, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of guys, I mean, I do it myself, cut 10, 15 pounds. And if you don't cut weight, you're not going to do is what you need to do. And that puts a hurting on you. You get tired and your body gets worn down, and your mentally is the worst thing. You just get worn down and you get sick of it.
Yeah.
So by the end of my high school career, I mean, I'd done a lot of trades too. Like I did a lot of stuff that would give me a job right out of high school. I was a welder in machine shop. Like I was a completer in those. So that gave me the opportunity to do that.
But, and skip college.
Yeah,
Wow.
didn't have to go to college.
Wow.
Like I wouldn't have had to. But it was like in my mind, it's like I've been wrestling my whole life. It's like if I have the opportunity to go to school for free, it's like, or not, I mean, not even fully free, like a full ride, but if I get most of my school paid for to where like I'm not going to have a whole lot of loans, it's like, why would I not give myself that opportunity?
Wow.
And that's basically what I was like looking for. It's like, if I don't get what I'm looking for, I'm just going to go straight to work. Luckily Greenlee reached out and thought I was worth it and gave me an opportunity, and I couldn't pass up the opportunity.
Wow. I got to go back really quickly to, you said you were a welder, or you did welding and machinery stuff?
Yeah, I was a completer in welding and machine shop.
How did you accomplish that?
We actually had a trade school connected to our high school. So I luckily I had the opportunity to take those trades and completed those trades while I was in high school.
Wow. And have you done anything related to that recently, or
not recently?
No?
I mean, they don't really offer a whole lot here.
Yeah.
Not involving like the hands-on stuff.
Yeah.
But
it's in your back pocket.
Yeah, I have the certificates, and I mean, all I would need to do is go to 2-3 months of training, and I could go straight into work. But they don't really offer anything here, and it's not really what I'm looking for anymore.
Gotcha. So you mentioned Coach Greenlee, thought you'd be a good fit. Why did you think Ohio was the right fit for you?
Well, I mean, I only live for 35, 40 minutes from here. I mean, Athens is not very far from where I grew up. And I really, really like Coach Greenlee. He reminds me a lot of my family. Kind of that sense of humor, kind of always likes to pick on you. That's the way my family was growing up. And honestly, it was a convenience thing in the beginning. It was like, it's close. I'm not going to have a lot of school, like a whole lot of loans. I was like, why would I not go? And I mean, the OU wrestling, it's definitely no slouch. I mean, we've had success in the past, and we have good kids. So I was like, why would I not go? It's like, it's very, like, I couldn't pass up the opportunity.
Wow. What was your, like, welcome to college wrestling moment where you're like, holy crap, this is a different beast?
Mainly just, well, obviously it's completely different in itself and doesn't compare at all to high school, but mainly the everybody like in high school you'll get that, like there's good kids, and obviously there's some top-notch kids that go to college and just flourish, but in high school it's like not everybody's in shape, not everybody is ready to wrestle, all that stuff. In college everybody's in shape, you're wrestling grown men now, so that's a little different too. And everybody's out there, they're gonna give it their all. And that was probably the biggest thing. It's like, if I'm not ready for every match, like I'm gonna be hurting. So that was probably the biggest thing, is like, you gotta be in shape, ready, have a good weight cut, do everything you need to do, no matter who you're wrestling. Doesn't matter if it's the top 10 kid in the country or just some non-ranked kid. Everybody, if you have a bad match, you're gonna lose. Like that's the biggest difference, I think.
So your first year here as a wrestler, did you experience, like, when did you experience that, like, moment where you're like, I got to get to work more?
I redshirted my freshman year.
Okay.
I did wrestle in 2 tournaments. I wrestled in the Michigan State Open and the Navy Classic. And I honestly did pretty well. Like, I won the Michigan State Open freshman sophomore division. I won that, and then the Navy Classic is just one division, so you're wrestling everybody. And I actually made it to the finals and wrestled the starter, Alec Hagan, which he did really well here. He was a very good wrestler. I wrestled him in the finals at the Navy Classic, and I unfortunately lost that match in overtime. But those were the only 2 tournaments I wrestled, and I didn't really experience it enough because I didn't get a whole lot of action that year. But last year, my redshirt freshman year, that's where I really experienced it, wrestling every weekend, weighing in every weekend, having to deal with that. It was very, very, very tough. Very tough. It definitely had a lot of wear and tear on the mind and the mental state.
Yeah.
Just having to deal with that and switching up to that was definitely hard.
Take us into that moment or moments where you are having that inner dialogue and it's tough. What did you continue to tell yourself to get through those moments?
Honestly, it wasn't even really me because I was down. Like it was hard, just on my mental state and physically demanding. And honestly, it was mainly just my coaches and my family. Basically, it wasn't even like they were like picking me up. It was like, you're here, you got to do it, just do it. Like there's nothing like you sitting here feeling sorry for yourself ain't gonna do nothing. It's like you got to do it anyway. So if you're gonna do it right and get over it. And it's kind of a tough love type thing, but it's what you have to do in those situations. And that definitely kind of helped push me and figure it out. And it's like, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it.
Yeah.
So that definitely was it.
Yeah.
Just the outside help through coaches and family, even my teammates, having people that have done it before and been there. It's like, I mean, it is what it is, man. You're here. So
yeah. We'll get in a couple of things here with your wrestling tactics. Specifically, you mentioned like the nutrition, cutting weight. Like there's so much that I don't think people, and you alluded to it from the outside, recognize with all that. So I want to know first, with you as a wrestler, what is your greatest strength? It could be on the mat or off the mat.
For me, I just, man, my greatest strength is probably I'm a very. See, it's hard to explain with people that don't understand wrestling because it's so in depth and it just doesn't make sense to people that haven't done it before. But like, there's a thing. It's like technique, like being very technical with your stuff. Not like you see these guys that are big and strong and they go out there and just muscle people around. Like that won't get you anywhere. It's knowing how to move and how to flow and knowing when to do things and when not to do things. I've always kind of excelled in technique standing. Like when you wrestle a person that's not very technical, but they're strong, it's like, yeah, they're strong. But if you wrestle a person that's very technical and very strong, it's like they're twice as strong as you, and you can't do anything with them. It's a very kind of flowy thing. And I've kind of always excelled in just being very technical and very flowy when I'm out there wrestling. And I mean, I've always been a pretty strong guy, so that kind of helped me in that stance too.
When you wrestle someone, is it more about like your focus on you, or like you have to know what your opponent is capable of?
It comes down, I mean, kind of. Like if you're wrestling somebody, you want to know if like they have a certain thing that they do. Like if they have like a left-handed sweep or something, like you want to know and look for that. But at the same time, it's like it doesn't matter really who you're wrestling. It's like you got to go do what you need to do, and it'll be all right. Like if you go out there, like I mean, I've done it in the past. Like if you go out there worrying about what they're going to do the whole time, you're not going to work on your own stuff, and you're inevitably going to, not do what you need to do and possibly lose that match. Yeah. So when you go out there, it's more of like focusing on doing exactly what you know you need to do, not really worrying about them making what you want to happen. That's kind of what it comes down to.
Cutting weight, I'm fascinated by it, and just what you all eat. Especially everybody eats differently. I remember chatting with Jordan Greer. He's chugging so much water.
He's definitely a different animal. He's trying to keep that size, but in a good way. Yeah. Like obviously you can sit there and eat pints of ice cream and pizza and all that stuff, and you can put the size on, but it ain't gonna be the right size. Him, busting his rear end in the gym every day, getting that workout and eating 3,000-4,000 calories a day, but of the right stuff, just doing everything he can to stay that size and that lean. Like with me, it's like it's a little different. Like I gotta basically the way I look at it is you eat enough calories and carbs and all that stuff, the right stuff too. You eat enough to where you have enough energy to work out and do what you need to do, and that's it. It's like you eat what you need to do. You eat what you need to eat to be able to work out and do the things you need to do, and that's it. Like honestly, in wrestling season, like you're hungry most of the time. Like it is what it is. It's like you're never like if you're never full. And if you are full, you're in trouble. It's like you're going to have a rough week.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like I'm not starving myself. Like in high school, you see these kids that won't eat for 2 or 3 days. Like that's not how it works. You can't do that and compete. Because I mean, when you wrestle, you cut and make the weight, and you're competing 2 hours later. So you don't have the time. You don't have 24 hours to get back to where you need to be. You have 2 hours. So it's like you need to do it correctly. So like, like me. I mean, I know guys on the team that lose 7-8 pounds in a practice. It's all controlling your water weight, eating the right things you need to eat, not a lot of sodium to hold that water, that type of stuff.
Give us an example of like you cutting weight in a 24-hour span or like a week leading up to a match. Like what specific things are you eating, drinking?
Yeah, in the 24-hour thing, it comes down to low amounts of food with high calories and high carbs to give you that energy without putting a lot of weight on. And the water, and you definitely cut out in that 24 hours, cutting out water. Like you can drink some, but it's when you cut weight as a wrestler, it's water weight at that point.
Okay.
Like 24 hours out, I'll probably lose 5, 6, 7 pounds of water, because it's a lot easier to get that water back in you than it is to be wrestling on a complete empty stomach without eating for 2 or 3 days. It's a lot easier to get that water back in you. But like a week, you're pounding water. You're completely full of water the whole time. You're still eating the little amounts just of what you need to have that energy to practice. But you're definitely pounding water, keeping yourself hydrated, and like constantly sweating, getting that stuff out of your body.
Nice.
That's kind of how it goes.
Man, it's so fascinating. And like you, to be able to wrestle, like you have to be under 149. Is that what's the range?
149.0 or below.
Okay.
That's how that works. Yeah.
Is there a specific weight that you want to always try to be at, like 145, or it doesn't matter?
So, honestly, after a weigh-in, because you'll blow up after a weigh-in because you're full of liquids and all that stuff. Me personally, I don't like to get above 10 pounds over after a weigh-in. But I'm a smaller guy compared to a 184, 197 pounder, so it's a little bit different. It just, I find it, I mean, I don't care who you are. It's hard to lose 10 pounds in any time.
Right.
It's not easy, but starting the week off at 9 or 10 pounds is a lot easier than being 2 days out at 9 or 10 pounds.
Yeah.
So that's the way I kind of look at it.
When you think about this team, there's obviously wrestling an individual sport, one against the other on the mat, but like the team that you all have, what are things that you've learned about yourself as a wrestler, like through your teammates?
Man, honestly, it makes it to where, because wrestling is an individual sport in itself. It is. But it makes it kind of, honestly, it made me care more. Because, like, you're with these guys that you're spending, like, I practice twice a day, 6 months out of the year with these guys. So, like, it comes down to, like, you're out there wrestling with your family, and if you don't need to do what you do, like, you're in my mind, I let them down when I don't do that. And it makes me work harder. It makes me want it more. And that's the biggest thing. The more you want it, it's going to happen. You just got to want it, and you're going to do anything you can to get there. So that's honestly, it's just spending time with them and becoming a family more than just a team. It makes it to where you're going to do what you need to do, and if you don't, you feel like crap afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Is there someone on your team that you look forward to wrestling in practice?
Yeah, yeah. Like drilling. There's definitely people that I like to drill with. It's just like kind of flowy and it's not it's hard on my body. Yeah. Our 157 right now, Corvadas. I like drilling with him.
Okay.
He's it's definitely pretty nice because I mean we still like, it's very flowy, but it's still fast paced and you get the work in you need to get. But it's definitely nice drilling with him.
Keller?
I like drilling with Keller. I don't like wrestling live with Keller. He's definitely a dog on top. And
Yeah.
my shoulders are killing me after I wrestle him. I don't mind drilling with him, but wrestling live, I don't like it. The guy's he's dirty on top.
Yeah.
It's hard to wrestle him.
Explain real quick drill, that term. What does that mean?
So like, obviously live is like just out there wrestling,
Right.
like doing what you need to do. Drill, it's like you it's repetitive, just like anything in any other sport. It's like you're hitting a high crotch, like one move, you're hitting it 50 times, 100 times, over and over and over again, because you kind of make that muscle memory to where when you're wrestling in a match, you don't think, oh, I'm hitting a high crotch. It's like whenever that opportunity comes up, you just hit it because you're already,
Gotcha.
it's just like kind of wired into you. That's what drilling is.
Okay.
You work on things over and over and over again to where when it comes down to it, it's like second nature.
Okay.
That's the way drilling works.
Interesting.
Just like with anything else.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when I spoke to Joel Greenlee before the season, you can watch the interview on the YouTube channel. For people out there, go take a peek if you haven't already. But he said that you've got the potential to be an All-American, Derek. What's the next step for you as a wrestler to ultimately get a chance at accomplishing that?
I've been talking to Greenlee a lot about it, and I mean, last year it was definitely, the whole year was just me adjusting and kind of figuring out what I needed to do and basically just how college works. This year it's definitely just making sure that I do what I need to do every day I come into practice, not worrying about anything else when I step in that wrestling room. Is just, you're here, do what you need to do, get better, and mainly just being confident and not worrying about anything when I go out there and wrestle, just knowing that I've done what I needed to do in the practice room. Like, I'm here, I shouldn't have, like, nobody's gonna stop me. It's confidence, honestly. And me and him have talked about it a lot. It's just being confident in myself and being confident with my training and everything. And that was the biggest thing for me, because last year, I mean, it was tough. I mean, I went from high school 175, I didn't lose a whole lot, man.
Yeah.
I won a good bit, and then coming to college, it's like I'm losing almost every other match. Like I think last year I finished the year like 18 and 14 or 19 and 14. It's like, that's not compared to everything else. It's not very hard on you, and that's the biggest thing is like coming in. It doesn't matter about the wins or losses. It matters about going out there and doing what you need to do, and knowing that no matter what, I've trained hard, put the work in, and whatever happens is going to happen, and I'm going to wrestle the best I can. So that's kind of what I've been trying to kind of sear into my brain, is like, if I do the work, it'll be all right. Everything will be all right.
You talked about how your strength is like the technical side of it, and you just alluded to confidence. Is that what is the next step? Like, is feeling confident? Sounds like you are confident right now.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting there. And it just, like I said, it comes with doing what I need to do every day, not slouching, not going into practice feeling sorry for myself. It's dang foot of snow outside. I don't want to go to practice. I don't want to dig my car out, that type of thing. It's just, when you go there, you're there. You might as well work as hard as you can and do everything you need to do. And I'm starting to figure that out.
Nice.
And I think it's definitely making me excel and become a better wrestler.
Yeah. I talk to student athletes all the time, and they'll tell me like certain things like off the mat or off the field, like other things in life help with the sport. Is there anything that like you have a passion about away from the sport that helps you with the sport, or people that you're connected with? Anything?
I don't know. It's with me. It's like I get very overwhelmed when it comes to wrestling. It's like I get overstimulated and anxious about everything, because I mean I care a lot.
Yeah.
And it's very hard on me, and I'm kind of an outdoorsman. I like to hunt and fish. I do that a lot. So when I go out there, it kind of helps ease my mind and helps me calm down about things and kind of be like, oh, it's all right. It's not that
Yeah.
big of a deal. It's like I don't need to get too worked up. So that's what I do a lot. I'm always outside, either hunting or fishing or just figuring stuff out
Yeah.
by myself.
Nature. Big nature person.
Yeah.
What's the coolest spot around here
Well,
that you've been to?
I go fishing down here at White's Mill a lot. The falls, theirs are pretty nice.
Nice.
I also have my buddy has 100 acres on the team that I hunt. He gave me permission to hunt, so I've been hunting that for the past 2 years.
Nice.
So I'm always outdoors, either there, I'm fishing the river, stuff like that.
Nice. That's really cool. Before we wrap this up, we'll get into some off the tracks here, some rapid fire
All right.
questions. Real quick though, from the wrestling standpoint, what's the best piece of advice Joel Greenlee's given you?
Probably what I've said a couple times is like, you're here. It's like, why would you not give it your all? It's like, you're already here.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're going to be here and you're going to put all this time in, why wouldn't you give it everything you have and get the most out of it? That one's probably the best one. And the other one, I don't know if I should say on this podcast.
Yeah, we'll stick with that one.
Yeah, let's stick with that one.
That's cool. That's very simply put.
Yeah,
very simply
it is
put,
what it is.
Go
and
out there and do the work.
Yeah, you're here.
Yeah.
Do it.
All right, rapid fire. You have some time to answer this. I'm not going to give you a time limit here,
All
but what song is on repeat right now for you?
Oh, I'm a big country guy. Probably Use Me by Zach Top. I listen to Zach Top a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what you listen to before
I
duels?
usually listen to country, yeah.
Okay.
Or I don't know. I'm a little different from other people. I usually listen to country, like kind of like a calming sounds. I know a lot of guys that listen to a lot hard rock and get them fired up, but I feel like when I get fired up like that, I get a little too anxious and a little too nervous. So I like to listen to music, kind of calms me down. But mainly country is what I listen to.
Gotcha. What's your favorite meal?
Cutting weight meal or just in general?
Cutting weight meal. Favorite meal to cut weight with, and then favorite meal in general.
Okay. Favorite meal to cut weight with for breakfast, it's I fry an egg. I put cheese on top of it, put a tortilla down, flip it over, a little bit of sriracha, and that's probably my favorite breakfast meal. It's a lot of energy and it doesn't weigh a whole lot, so that's good. Favorite meal in general is French toast for breakfast every all day. That's my favorite.
Yeah. When's the last time you've had that? A while.
Probably before season. Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer. All right, this is always one of my favorites. How many unread text messages do you have on your cell phone?
I'm very OCD. I have 0 right now. That's just me. I just have to
0.
0. Let me look actually.
Prove it.
I might have a little bit more unless somebody. That's not
Somebody
true.
texted you between.
I have 1 or 2 actually. One's just
2.
like a spam, and then my other was from my girlfriend.
Okay.
So
2 unread texts. That's really impressive. We've had people anywhere from that to
The hundreds.
a ton.
Yeah. I'm too OCD. I can't.
Wow. What's your favorite spot on campus?
My favorite spot on campus. Probably down there beside Jeff Market, that little grassy area, because my girlfriend lives near there, and we'd always go sit out there.
Okay.
And a lot of deer like to hang out there.
Oh yeah, this campus is filled with deer.
Of 'em. Yeah, and as a hunter, I'm like, yeah. So. But that's probably my favorite spot. I like hanging out there, all the trees and stuff.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. I mean, the campus is
very
unmatched.
Yeah,
it's truly
very nice.
amazing.
It's probably my favorite part about it is just the campus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love that. I just had the other one in my head. Yeah. Okay. So we talked before we recorded this. You were an industrial engineer major.
Yep.
Now you're a project management, sports management major. What is the most interesting thing that you've learned since switching majors? Anything from a class or something?
I wouldn't say like the most interesting thing is like something I've learned. It's just honestly knowing like what I can get into with that major.
Gotcha.
It's like, because I mean, I've always I love coaching, and with that sports management, it kind of gives me that out. It's like with this degrees. Like I can coach anywhere I want.
Yeah.
So that's honestly like my favorite thing that I've kind of learned that I can get out of it.
Gotcha.
And then project management, it's like I can get a job most places. So like it's honestly, it's just learning about the opportunities I will have with that. That's probably my favorite thing that I've figured out about it. Like classes are classes.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know how it is. Like
Yeah.
you go there and you learn and you do it and that's it.
Yeah.
But that's probably my favorite thing that I've kind of figured out with those.
Yeah. So Coach Raike in the future, maybe.
Possibly. I mean,
We'll
just
see. We got a long way to go.
yeah. I still got a couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Derek, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate your time. Any final words before we get you out of here and get back to the work?
I had a good time. This is fun. I've never been on one before, and I had a good time.
All right, that's a wrap. Another episode of Bobcat Tracks presented by Labatt Blue. Shout out to Taja Booker. Shout out to Derek Raike, track and field and wrestling, jumping on the show. We really enjoyed all the insight that they provided, both with their sport and beyond their sport as well. Again, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button on the Ohio Bobcat Studios YouTube channel. We really appreciate it. And if you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, be sure to follow us as well. All episodes will drop on those platforms. So shout out to everybody for taking the time to listen and watch this episode. Taped on January 8th. We'll be back again next month for our next episode. Should be a lot of fun.
We heard you crack open a blue light. Yo, come on in. You guys are here too?
Goodbye, empty couch. Hello, standing room only. Labatt takes everything to the power of we.